It's nice to breathe new life into old games. Remakes have basically always existed since
Didn't we watch
forever, but I do remember
Somebody in the chat's gonna have to let me know.
a point when they felt more like a special treat. Like, a remake was cool simply for being. As kids, we didn't really think about the implications of how faithful a remake would be, or how well it would evolve the concepts of the original. But I'm sure to some extent we were still...
No, I agree. I thought remakes would be cool if they added additional content to it, and or added, like, you know, Pokemon Emerald versions content, or Pokemon Platinum versions content, or Pokemon Crystal versions content. But then whenever remakes come out, like when it comes to Nintendo and then they're remaking Pokemon, they don't add the additional content to the shit. So then, in all honesty, it kind of makes the remake ass, because I'm like, why don't you put the full content that it originally came out with back in the day into the remake content? No, sometimes even Atlus does this shit where like for example, The Answer. I love Atlus, but I'm like, damn, you put that The Answer as, like, you know, as DLC, and then in the original games, wasn't there like a what, female protagonist? We didn't have female protagonist. Where the fuck is... I'm looking for my freaking spicy sauce, bro. Where's my spicy sauce? I want my spicy sauce. But yeah, shit just be crazy. Oh, here it is. They don't be doing that shit, bro. Female was for PSP. It don't matter. It don't matter. I'm gonna be that guy. It don't matter. Even Vincent was in Persona 3 and they took him out. Where's Vincent? You said, expect the black and white remakes to get announced soon. Their Twitter account has been posting a lot of black and white stuff. I just hope it looks good. And I hope it doesn't look like Diamond and Pearl remake.
Retro, you show up on the T app.
No, I don't. Shut the fuck up. No, I don't. Do not put me on the T app. And people are going to be mean to me. I already know. Do not put me on that app. They're going to call me short. I don't care, bro. Leave me alone. I know I'm short. You ever seen that episode of SpongeBob where SpongeBob is like, I'm ugly and I'm proud. I'm ugly and I'm proud. That's me. I'm short and I'm proud. Leave me alone.
Consciously aware of that stuff. For the purpose of this video, I will primarily be referring to video games, although I will briefly mention other mediums throughout the video. As time goes on, it does feel as though people are putting remakes under more scrutiny nowadays, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. In a day and age where older media is becoming harder to obtain legitimately, it makes sense that people are starting to place more importance on the remake preserving the spirit of the original. But the rise in critiques didn't come out of nowhere. Rather, they were simply the byproduct of that other thing that's been on the rise, the demand for remakes. Something I've noticed in recent years is that a lot of the time, these remakes kind of get treated like checklists of things people want changed or fixed from the original.
Yes.
It's a pretty reductive way to discuss them, in my opinion. Instead of wanting to explore new things that would fit well with the original game's intent, it feels like people are more interested in revising it. Look, there's nothing wrong with a remake refining and polishing stuff from the original. It's to be expected. But it feels like we're reaching a point where people are starting to view remakes as a catch-all solution for fixing games. Like, bruh, just because a game has flaws doesn't mean it needs a remake. No matter how much you remake a game, it'll never be perfect. In the next decade, people will want to fix things about that remake too. And look, I'm no stranger to games being remade multiple times. Two of my favorite games—
Somebody in the chat said it, right? Persona 4 did not need a remake, in my opinion. I agree with you. I said the same shit. I think Persona 4 Golden is perfect. The way that it is. And a lot of people are like, oh, nah, Persona 4 needs a remake. I'm like, it did not need a remake, in my honest opinion as well.
Games of all time have had multiple re-releases. But like, at what point do we decide to just take a game for what it is? Some of you might assume, as soon as the game gets remade, and this remake will be the definitive way to play it. But people 2 console generations from now might not agree with you. Games advance alongside technology. Sure, I could boot up a Windows 7 computer and navigate it just fine, but if you were to put most people in front of a Windows 7 computer in the year 2025, they'd probably be like, where's my AI assistant?
Yup.
Oh, why is there no text-to-speech? Oh, maybe I should have gone back a few years further so I could introduce him to Clippy. And no, this isn't just an age thing. Despite technology becoming so much more ingrained in our lives now, people are ironically becoming more technologically illiterate. Like, app design in general is leaning more towards making things as straightforward and simple as possible, possibly to a detriment. This design philosophy is starting to apply to how a lot of people nowadays view video games. I'd wager to say that it's because of the modern app design that's basically ingrained in people's lives at this point.
That also goes for, I think, you know, the new Monster Hunter game. A lot of Monster Hunter fans are saying the same shit where they were like, I miss when the Monster Hunter series was more niche. I miss when the Monster Hunter series wasn't as easy, because before Monster Hunter was very complicated, and I'm not gonna lie, it was very complicated for me too. But then it's like I started playing Rise. I understood Rise. I started playing World. I dropped World for a long time. I came back to World. I started to understand World. And then Wilds was like a way more simplified version of Monster Hunter. I like Monster Hunter on Wilds, don't get me wrong. But I know a lot of the Monster Hunter fans were like, nah, Wilds kind of like dumbed it down too much. To a point. But that's what be happening, bro. I don't know. I like you're saying, with technology, I feel like they're trying to make it too easy. I understand why they're doing it, though. But then at the same time, it's like,
point that people aren't willing to learn and navigate in older games' mechanisms, regardless of how well designed the game is on the whole. An example that comes to mind is how Sonic controls in the Sonic Adventure games. I watched a video recently by Splash Dash. In the video, he explains how the homing attack used to be just a means of giving a little bit of precision to help Sonic hit the enemies in a 3D space, and use them to bridge across gaps. You're actually supposed to somewhat aim and push Sonic in the right direction before and after each homing attack. It's not a fully automated lock-on. As time went on, though, the game started making the homing attack more and more automated, and basically conditioning the player to over-rely on it as the main means of keeping Sonic on course, as opposed to platforming. You notice a similar pattern here? Much like modern app design, the easiest way to achieve accessibility is less emphasis on actual high-level engagement, and more on complacent routine or cheap thrills. In a theoretical Sonic Adventure 2 remake, how likely is it for Sega to impose this safe homing attack model onto the game to make it less frustrating for the people who are more used to the newer Sonic games? If they were to do this, I'd at least hope they put in a toggle setting for a more free control homing attack, like the original. But even then, the remake would likely be designed with straightforward enemy chains. Anything too complex might conflict with the auto lock-on of the modern homing attack. That's not to say all the new Sonic games are bad, they've got plenty of other shit going for them. It's just this one fundamental area that weakens them overall. So as much as I would love to say, just port everything, that's not exactly enough to satisfy everyone. Even if you were to argue in favor of ports over remakes, that leads into discussions about that old game jank. Man, what even is jank at this point? I've been sitting on my ass trying to think up of a solid definition for the word jank for hours. I'm genuinely convinced that no one actually knows what it means. It's just a buzzword people say to dismiss.
Jank? It's like if I'm gonna use the word jank, right? Like Mario 64 jank. It's like the wonkiness. Jank is kind of like the wonkiness of a game where like sometimes the controls are not 100%, but there's a nice little there's this nice little sweet spot to the controls where it's kind of like if you can overcome it, there's some jank to it. And then that's how you could get a little bit like that's what I feel like the word jank means. Cause Mario 64 got some jank controls, but I like it personally because I got used to it. And like when you learn how to side flip, how to long jump, how to jump kick off the wall, and then kind of like utilize the wonkiness, you can master Mario 64 and get crazy with it. It's so fun watching newer kids in this generation try to play Mario 64 because oh my god, they suck ass at that game, bro.
Old game design, regardless of how well it actually works, and more so because it doesn't conform to modern or familiar conventions. Looking up the definition, it essentially boils down to, it's bad, but no one really elaborates on how so. It's like when people complain about games having bad writing in them, when that could mean a lot of things. Or it could mean nothing. The way most people seem to use the term, it seems to imply some sort of awkwardness or not behaving in the way the player expects it. Again, this is still pretty vague, and honestly doesn't even sound like an inherently bad thing. It has the potential to run off into user unfriendliness, but I feel like this becomes extremely subjective depending on who you ask and how you look at it. I literally, a few hours ago before writing this, had a conversation.
You see, Kingdom Hearts 1. Let's talk about Kingdom Hearts 1 jank. Sora got that stupid level 1 jump. The jump where his legs go like this. Fuck that janky ass jump. I hate his Kingdom Hearts 1 jump a lot. But at that point, I played Kingdom Hearts 1 so much that I'm used to it. But I hate his Kingdom Hearts 1 jump. Kingdom Hearts 2 jump, when he gets the double jump, the backflip to the spinny, to the glide, whoo! Woo! Sora flying.
With some friends about this, and we all had a hard time agreeing on what's really considered jank. We disagreed on a lot of the examples being brought up to each other. Is it the result of datedness? If that's the case, does that mean jankiness is relative to a game's age? Could all the games we play today be considered janky one day? A game you consider really well designed could be widely written off with this innocuous umbrella term one day. And I imagine...
Yo, I love that game, bro.
While awkward, clunky design will
Catherine
always
is
be a factor to consider,
Yo, Catherine also had a bunch of jank. Catherine had a bunch of jank in that game where like shit would just not go the way that you want it to. Like it's the level with the baby where she's like, "Daddy!" And then like the shit starts moving and then like a bunch of dumbass shit just happens, bro.
Never be the end all for whether a game's design is actually well thought out and meaningful. I understand some design choices in old games were the result of technological limitations at the time. However, this is also true for every other form of art. Digital drawing tools didn't always exist. Films didn't always have CG. Part of the artistic process is working around the limitations of the tools available at the time, and thus the achievement in overcoming that hurdle shouldn't be dismissed. Dare I say, it might even be worth witnessing for yourself. That rant aside, I wouldn't hold it against anyone for not enjoying a game because they just couldn't adjust or get used to the way it plays. I once saw a video here on YouTube about this topic. I will keep the uploader anonymous this time. As much as I disagree with their position, I know some people can get very overly protective of the original versions of games, and I don't want this person to get harassed. So, in this video, the uploader gives an anecdote about how their friend just couldn't get into Kingdom Hearts 1 because of things like the camera, the platforming, and Sora's stiff movement. Now, personally,
No, I always laugh because whenever they show off people not liking Kingdom Hearts 1, they always show Tarzan's world. On my soul, they always show Tarzan's world. Fuck Tarzan's world. Fuck jumping on the hippos. That world is annoying, so I agree.
I'd argue Kingdom Hearts 1 Sora is more mobile than people think, but that's besides the point. They propose that a remake would not only help better introduce people to the game, but also allow them to share their love for the game with a new audience. On one hand, I can understand the sentiment.
People are out here talking about remake Kingdom Hearts 1. Hell the fuck no. Do not. Leave it the way that it is. Do not remake 1 and do not remake 2. Leave them. They gotta leave it the exact same way it is. And if you didn't play the games and you don't want to play the games because you don't like the wonkiness or whatever, then you're gonna miss out. Leave the games, please.
It sucks when you try to introduce someone to one of your favorite things, but they just can't share that same enjoyment with you. Here's the thing though, as much as it sucks, maybe the game just isn't for them.
Exactly.
This doesn't just go for anyone trying to introduce a game to someone. This applies to yourself too. This applies to anyone who wants to like a game but just can't. I noticed this a lot with Persona 3 before it was remade. A lot of people very strangely wanted a remake of this game that they didn't even seem to enjoy outside of the general idea or general story points. It felt more like they desperately wanted to enjoy it out of some sense of FOMO.
What I liked about the OG Persona 3 compared to the new Persona 3 is that one thing that's crazy, I like the colors. The colors of Persona 3 was very dead. The game's colors, even though I love the remakes colors because they pop more. I feel like Persona 3 being in that color scheme is because it was... okay, I'm probably looking too deep into it because Persona 3's whole shit was about death. So the game looked bland. Not bland 100%, but you know what I mean. It had like this bland kind of tone to it, but it had like this color scheme that I fucked with. Also, Persona 3, fuck the sickness mechanic. The sickness mechanic was ass. I'm glad they took that shit out. Also, confidants getting reversed. Didn't that happen in the new Persona 3? I think it could still happen. It happened with Chidori. Fuck that bitch. Yeah.
I got the sense these people really just wanted to be in on it without actually engaging with the ludonarrative gameplay that played a huge role in defining that game. I've already
Chihiro.
Persona 3 to hell
Chidori.
in another video
Bro,
that I'll just link
I
here.
wanted to
So
kill
I'm gonna
myself
listen to
after
that.
playing Kingdom
I'm not even trying
Hearts
to give
1
people
and
shit, it's not
Recom because of how dog shit it was. KH2 actually made me fall in love with the series. But KH1 needs a remake. You can't tell me it doesn't.
KH1, I don't think it does. KH1, I feel like you just need to tough it out. KH1 is dog shit carried by nostalgia? Hell no. You know what I'm not gonna like about a Kingdom Hearts 1 remake is I feel like they're gonna make the game look different. There's like a level of charm to the characters. I feel like they're gonna make the shit look different. You said maybe a remaster? It already got the remaster.
See, that's totally fine. Okay, listen, guys. You know it's okay to just not like things, right?
True.
If you don't like a game that's well regarded by a lot of people, that's perfectly fine. To make an example of myself, I fucking hate Persona 2 Innocent Sin. While there are some aspects that I appreciate.
Bro, I was playing that game in my little ass device. Do they got this? I gotta continue Final Fantasy 9, bruh. Final Fantasy 9, I got like into this town. Oh, you know what I'm up to in Final Fantasy 9? I'm doing the competition where I gotta kill a bunch of monsters in the town, and I'm going up against Vivi, and I'm going up against this like mouse-looking character, bro. Bruh, I gotta beat them in this competition. But then I also heard somebody said online that I'm supposed to let the mouse character win because then you're gonna get a good item. If I win, I only get $5,000, and then if Vivi wins, yes, Vivi gives you a trophy. So I don't even know how I'm gonna let Vivi win. I'm trying to see if I can let Vivi win that whole thing so I can get that achievement. You said, Retro, you spoiling me? Sorry, bro.
About it. The narrative doesn't speak to me. I think the characters are overhyped, and I fundamentally disagree with the game's design philosophy. Eternal Punishment is better, and while I don't dislike it, I still have some reservations about it, many of which are simply remnants that carried over from Innocent Sin. But you see, I was more than ready to just accept that I don't like the game and move on afterwards. While I don't doubt a Persona 2 remake would sell well, my first thought upon finishing these games wasn't to sit on my thumbs for a remake that'll appeal specifically to me. Sometimes, your tastes don't align with the creator's vision, and that's totally normal.
True.
Games don't have to be made for everyone. I'm not against a remake being made. I don't doubt a remake could provide good gameplay additions and changes. I just don't need it. Like, I think there are more important things in life than a Persona 2 remake. I don't know, that might just be me. Now, this is normally the part where someone brings up quality of life and accessibility. I feel like people greatly misunderstand what either of these terms mean. When the average normie on the internet says the word accessibility, that motherfucker ain't talking about settings to help blind people see the stuff on screen, or make the visual effects safer for epileptic people.
Maybe that make it
Stuff
easier.
that would actually benefit the cause of accessibility. I'm talking about the guy who hates turn-based RPGs complaining that the turn-based RPG is too hard for him. If we're going to accept video games as a form of art, we need to accept that not every work of art is made for everyone.
Facts!
And thus, neither is every video game. Accessibility doesn't mean it has to appeal to everyone, including the people who can't even be bothered to engage with the game's mechanical depth or challenging themes. Those things shouldn't have to be compromised, but we're at a point where game developers might not feel like they have much of a choice. This could honestly branch off into its own separate video, but for now, let's get back to quality of life adjustments. Yeah, I'd like quality of life enhancements. The one feature I will always point to in terms of quality of life enhancements is Final Fantasy's ATB gauge.
You said, bro, just open the soda, you bumbleclot. Joke's on you. It's a seltzer water. Come on, bro. I told you I'm not drinking soda. That's a seltzer water, bro.
Original Final Fantasy IV didn't even show your time gauge, despite introducing the active time battle system. Later versions of the game would add quality of life enhancements, without actually changing the game's mechanics. Not only was the ATB gauge visible now, but now you could see the amount of time it took to cast your spells, in addition to turn wait times. Does this inherently change the way the game works? No. It gives the player a little more information. It might slightly affect your choices when choosing what spells or abilities to use, but it won't drastically change the way the game is played. The casting times were always there, now they're just more visibly indicated. The game is more user-friendly without needing to compromise the mechanics. What a lot of people expect out of remakes nowadays is to simply morph an older entry of a series to the convention set by the newest one, or other modern contemporaries. I can understand this to an extent. Video games were still trying to figure themselves out back then. What's known to work wasn't as well known back then.
Oh my god, Kingdom Hearts 1 looks so good to this day. There's just a charm to it. I don't want to see the characters like in HD and shit and like, I don't know, and like an Unreal Engine. Just leave them like this, bro. I love the way they look like this.
Adjusting to some modern conventions is warranted and can make jumping into a game less cumbersome for the new player. At the same time though, conforming too hard might actually work against the game. You know the complaints about how modern video games all feel the same? That might be a direct result of conforming games to what the majority thinks X type of game should be.
Yup.
Persona 4 should play more like Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5. Devil May Cry 1 should be remade to play like 5. They should remake Kingdom Hearts 1 to be like 3. Dude, fucking they should remake my life to be more like Dingleberg's. I feel like these types of mindsets do
Dingleberg.
come with some underlying intent of burying anything that doesn't conform to said conventions. That's not quality of life or accessibility. That's just fundamentally changing the game. That being said, I think this might be indicative of a deeper issue. Remakes were once about preserving, celebrating, and carrying on a game's legacy, but have slowly become a form of revisionism. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that people seem a little too eager to conform all the entries of a series to be like the newest one. Like, what's with people treating their favorite series of video games like a monolith? I get that every game in a series is gonna share stuff in common with each other, but what's with this brute force effort to totally homogenize them? You know, it never felt like remakes were trying to do this in the past. Sure, there were still tons of remakes coming out before people started complaining about it, but this was before everything was cross-platform. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for cross-platform releases. My life became way easier once everything became available on PC. I'm just pointing out the effect isolating games on certain hardware had on different versions. There wasn't much threat of a remake outright replacing or invalidating any other version of the game. Unless you had a PlayStation Vita, you could not play Persona 4 Golden. The original—
And that's where I first started playing Persona 4, and man, that shit was a treat. Playing this game on an OLED screen PS Vita, man, this is the game that got me into the whole Persona series, bro.
Persona 4 was also available on the PS3 store at the time, so at the very least, the choice was there. Same thing with Persona 3 FES and Persona 3 Portable. These other versions were simply alternative ways to experience the game. Hell, this was even applicable to straight ports sometimes. Take Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess as an example.
Yes, that
The
game
Wii
is
version
amazing.
doesn't replace the GameCube one just because it's for the newer system. The
Look
Wii's
at that
controls—
ugly ass baby. Baby Malomart. Fugly baby. Keep these ugly ass kids looking the same. Look at that ugly ass baby.
Game is so different from anything that came before it that it's harder to call it a straight upgrade. It's just a way to
Donkey
experience
Kong
the game with
Bonanza
motion
needs a remake immediately.
Tainted. The game just came out. Tainted. The game just came out. How? How?
controls instead. If you really wanted that for some reason, I don't know. Hell, you could play GameCube games on the Wii, so you could just play the GameCube version on your Wii if you wanted to. Sure, there will and always have been debates over which version is better, but there realistically wasn't any threat of one version overwriting the other. They were just both available on modern systems, just exclusive to their own platforms. Remakes just had a really weird way of not stepping on the toes of their originals back then. Take Pokemon, for example. Fire Red and Leaf Green were remakes of the generation—
Yo, Fire Red and Leaf Green, I don't care what anybody says, bro. I remember when that game released, I went to the store to pick up the copy of that shit, and when I took it out, and it was that nice, red color and the green. Dude, it was, oh my gosh, bro. Yo. Nah, bro, they cooked with this, bro. This was such a good remake. And then they had wireless trading and wireless battling. And then the accessory came with the game. Nintendo didn't pull, oh, you gotta buy the game and then buy the accessory if you want to do it separately. No, they all came together. Came with the game, and it came with the little shit that you put on your SP. Oh my gosh, bruh. Yo, there was a lot of post-game shit too.
Gen 1 games with the Gen 3 framework. You'd think this would be grounds for the type of remake I'm not as big a fan of, but I'd argue these might be the best Pokemon remakes.
Yo.
These were games for the Game Boy Advance, which could also play Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. Gens 1, 2, and 3 were all playable on one device. You can literally play the
Cue
original
ball!
Game Boy versions on the same system. This was the best time to get into Pokemon, the advanced generation.
Yes.
Heart Gold and Soul Silver sort of capture that energy being on the DS, which
Nah, Heart Gold Soul Silver was also gas. I can't even lie. That was such an amazing remake. Pokewalker. Shout out to the itty bitty Pokewalker that came with the shit. All that good stuff, bro. I'm telling
play
you,
Game Boy
bro.
Advance games. You had access to all the existing regions at the time, but not the original Game Boy games. Though at the very least, you could argue people still had Game Boy Advances during this time. See, that's the difference between remakes of the past and remakes now. Nobody back then was shitting their pants over how much Gen 3 or 4's mechanics would fix Kanto and Johto. Let's be real now, most of us were dumb little kids who didn't understand most of the mechanical changes. It's only in retrospect after replaying the game so many times that I really learned to appreciate their differences. I'll come back to both the originals and the remakes for different reasons. I know I'm cycling through the same few examples here, but Final Fantasy IV's DS and PSP versions are such good examples to use. What I respect about the DS version is that it doesn't just backport some mechanic from the newest Final Fantasy game, or try to be like FF7. It implements its own systems that complements the already existing mechanics of the game, rather than trying to replace or outright drop its older systems. I'm not going to get into too many specifics, but the short version is, in the original game, stats would start increasing or decreasing randomly past level 70. The DS version's new augment system makes it so that stat growth past level 70 is based on what abilities you have equipped on a character. It's, by all means,
The game looks good as hell. I don't know, I fuck with it. This is on the DS?
a very respectful remake in my eyes. But guess what? They went and released another remake for the PSP 2 years later. This remake would take it a step further, being an almost one-to-one remake of the original, but with the Game Boy Advance's swappable party members and post-game content. I already mentioned the subtle but impactful quality of life changes earlier. They made both a faithful and fresher take on the game. Most remakes at the time still felt like the games they were based on. In recent days, it feels like that line has been getting blurrier. Like, you can tell there's
You said you think Game Freak is gonna give Heart Gold Soul Silver Shining the Diamond and Pearl treatment? I feel like they shouldn't, because look, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how the hell they're gonna top making a remake, because Heart Gold and Soul Silver is already a remake of Gold and Silver. Gold and Silver, then there's Heart Gold Soul Silver. That's already the remake of those games. If they make another remake of it, they're gonna have to find a way to top Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And Heart Gold and Soul Silver is still fresh in everybody's mind, where they were like, that shit was peak. If they make a remake of that shit and it's ass, I mean, obviously I know Nintendo fans, they don't give a fuck if they get royally fucked in the ass. They're still gonna buy that shit and eat it up. But if it's not as good as Heart Gold Soul Silver, you know people are gonna be vocal about it.
effort being put in to keep the spirit of the original in there, but it also feels like the game is at conflict with itself, stuck between trying to live up to the original but also trying to be as sanitized and smoothed out as possible to appeal to the highest denominator. Trying to attract a modern audience is one thing. Trying to attract an audience the game wasn't meant.
Bro, 130k EXP to level up? Jesus Christ. Look at this smug ass motherfucker, level 69 smug.
To appeal to.
Oh, you guys can't see his face. He's a smug ass motherfucker.
Is another. But being simultaneously available in the same era of games isn't the sole thing that made these remakes work. It was also how they were presented. Final Fantasy IV never presented any of its versions as the way you should be playing the game, even after the Pixel Remaster came out. The DS version was already released on Steam at that point, but it's based on the shitty mobile and tablet ports, unfortunately. Regardless, there is no ultimate version combining features from all the past iterations. That's an expectation people impose on remakes whenever they're announced now. When given the choice between two games with the same title, the layman will usually choose the newer one. I think something that would help make the original look just as appealing to buyers of the remake would be bundling the original game with bulk purchase sales. Something like what Sega decided to do with Sonic Generations and Sonic X Shadow Generations. Like, imagine if Persona 3 Reload went on sale, and they made a special offer getting Persona 3 Portable bundled with it. It would help validate Portable's remaster as a modern option, and also allow players to get the female route that Reload players would otherwise be deprived of. The average Reload buyer might not have the incentive to buy Portable on its own, but if it's being offered to them with Reload, they might just spend the extra few bucks because, why not? This isn't a perfect solution because some people just won't care, and not all originals or remasters of originals are available alongside their remakes. Hell, the example I just gave didn't even include Persona 3 FES, because Persona 3 FES was never remastered for modern systems. A lot of the careful details and context I just gave could be considered minutiae to most people. Honestly, I've been slamming my head against the wall just writing this far in, but the most frustrating thing about it is that no matter how carefully I try to explain myself, I'm always gonna get hit with the same rebuttal. The same song and dance. Shit, I forgot how it went. I think it went a little something like...
You're just nostalgia blind. Kinda true. Kinda true. There are some games where you can be nostalgia blind, right? For example, my biggest game that I was nostalgia blind with, Ni no Kuni. When I replayed Ni no Kuni, I said, oh nah, this shit is ass.
And you are for KH1.
Nah. You know why it doesn't apply to what you're saying? Tainted saying that it applies to me. I played Kingdom Hearts 1 as a kid, liked it. I replayed the game on proud mode like a year ago, and I still enjoyed it the exact same way when I was a kid, so it doesn't apply to me. There's other games, though, out there where if you played it as a kid, you'd be like, this shit was fire, and then you played it as an adult again, and then it's ass. Ni no Kuni was one of those games. I'm gonna keep it a stack. Ni no Kuni was ass replaying that game. If I was to think of any other games that I wouldn't replay, I mean, I played Final Fantasy 13 when I was younger. I didn't like it. I don't want to replay Final Fantasy 13 realistically. Maybe a part of me does want to play 13 again just to revisit it and see if maybe I could give it a second chance. But deep down, I don't even want to get back into 13. I had nostalgia goggles for BFBB. Mario Galaxy. Mario Galaxy. I can't give an answer to Mario Galaxy because I haven't replayed that game from start to finish recently. Persona 4, I played it when I was way younger. Played it again recently, like within the last 2 years. Played Persona 4 Golden again. Perfect. I thought it was perfect from start to finish. No complaints. I love the game. Mario Sunshine. I played Mario Sunshine as a kid. Loved it. Played it again as an adult. I think I beat Mario Sunshine so many times over and over and over. If I played it again right now, I'll still love that game. Yeah, Mario Sunshine has some weird mechanics like the boat and Mount Coronet, whatever the hell it's called, Bowser's Mountain. That stupid ass boat that whenever it bumps into a wall, it just sinks instantly. Fuck the boat. There's some levels that are ass in Mario Sunshine. Yoshi's Story. Oh, I love Yoshi's Story just because of his charm. Yoshi's Story got so much jank mechanics, but I love the game. I ain't gonna lie. Nostalgia. It makes me think of like when I was a kid again, playing on a box TV every time. I'm not gonna say Yoshi's Story is perfect though, but I love that game because it's a place in my heart. Mount Corona. Oh, that's what it's called, Corona Mountain. I said Mount Coronet. Corona Coronet. That's me playing Sinnoh Pokemon games. I didn't like those games as a kid because it was a chore to go through. Man.
Okay, I can genuinely see where people are coming from with this argument. Most people don't even go as far into detail in defense of that.
Also, Mario 64, I don't care. Mario 64 is prehistoric. I could replay that game again today, and I love that game the same way. And I'll get 120 stars. Yup, I'll go to each level, collect 100 coins. Collect all the 8 red coins. I'll do it again. I'll look for all the bunny rabbits inside the castle. I'll look for every toad that has a secret star. I'll do it all again.
Favorite old games like I do. A lot of them do just operate on vibes and feelings, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone does this to some extent, if it's over a game they truly care about. Otherwise, I don't think people would even care enough to have a discussion. Here's the thing though, that is not exclusive to the people defending the originals. I want you to take a step back and think about it for a second. Isn't the desire for remakes in itself very nostalgia-driven? You want devs to make these games all over again.
True.
Then buy the game at full price all over again.
True.
Then play it for the first time all over again.
True.
Then be able to share that magical experience with all the...
If they remade Kingdom Hearts and they don't have Sora looking like that goofy ass face he just
over
made,
again. Then play it for the first time all over again.
Bro,
then be able to share
if that motherfucker don't look like this, I don't want it. Watch them update it, and they probably won't even give Sora this goofy ass face in the remake. I'm giving it a 1 out of 10.
Magical experience with all the other people also playing it for the first time all over again. Sounds pretty nostalgically motivated to me. People got the nerve to complain about nostalgia pandering, too many show reboots, and live-action adaptations, when all they do is beg for remakes of old games. It's even wilder how people are nostalgic for the feeling of buying a product, which could be indicative of something wrong with actual new modern releases. That discussion is beyond the scope of this video.
No, that's true. That is also another thing that's based, that could be based on a whole nother video. The way they used to release shit back in the day, it felt so much nicer. I don't care. I'm okay. Boomer troll talking. Old Pokemon games, when they used to come out, their box art was fire. The box art was holographic. It had colors popping, all types of shit. You put that shit in the sun, it was reflecting. All types of colors was hitting my face. Pokemon games coming out now, boring. Boring ass box art. The freaking cartridges aren't even colored and shit, bro. We used to have colored cartridges. We used to actually be a nation, bro. Where's all our colored cartridges, bro? What the fuck?
Though. I don't think it's wrong for people to not want the legacy of a work to be overwritten by its remake. I can't speak for everyone, but coming from me, I'm not against letting games that are close to my heart reach new audiences. I'm just not too hot on the idea of something that I feel doesn't accurately represent the thing I love being accepted.
Resident
as if it
Evil
were
4
what the
OG was dog shit. I played OG before remake of 4. It was so mid. Nostalgia bullshit through and through. Resident Evil 1 came out around the same time as 4. Resident Evil 1 was leagues better than 4 OG. 4 remake
I never played
was
1.
leagues better and on par with RE1 2002.
Nah, Tate trying to rage bait. Thank you for the biddies. I played 4. I think I remember. I have some clips on my channel. I think they might be dead though. when I shot at the water and the big ship killed me, the big fish killed me. OG Resident Evil 4 was not as bad as how I feel like you making it seem. I like the original. The controls were a little bit harder, but I felt like they kind of reminded me of Resident Evil 5, so it wasn't that bad for me. So Resident Evil 4, the original, I'm glad I got to play that one. I thought that game was good. Damn, bro, I wish I had like a stream VOD of me talking at the end on how I felt about the game. Damn. Damn, bro, I ain't got that shit anywhere on no channels. Oh, nah, I'm just seeing the remake. Damn, I don't have my VODs of the OG. Me playing Resident Evil 4. You lying. Ain't no way Rios got it. You have it? 6 years ago? You found it? Oh, shit. Damn, this is unlisted, though. Yo. This is the whole end. This is us playing the end 6 years ago.
Oh, that's why I don't want to hold. That's why I don't want to hold forward, bro. Yo,
what did I crash
back?
into?
Welcome to the stream, man. That's why I don't want to hold forward, because I'm scared I'm gonna bump into something. Oh my god, please.
I died at the end, bro.
I went straight into the rocks, bro. That is so funny. I can't believe this.
Yo, that part was hard.
I can't believe what I'm doing. I gotta get some food at the store. Oh shit, at least
Hold on. I want to see the ending. How I felt. I want to see the ending.
Damn. Are you serious? Please tell me she can swim.
Ashley, where are ya?
Bad ending.
Leon! Leon!
Come on. Let's go home.
Sounds like a great idea. Mission accomplished. Right, Leon?
Not quite. I still have to get you home safe.
So, after you take me back to my place, how about we do some, overtime?
Sorry.
Somehow I knew you'd say that, but it doesn't hurt to ask, you know?
She wanna fuck.
So,
Facts!
who was that woman anyway?
She wanna tap. She said, how about we do some overtime?
Oh,
Damn.
Oh, God.
She's like a part of me I can't let go. Let's leave it at that.
What, gave it?
She said, how about we do some overtime?
Shit.
Yo, Ashley ain't playing. She was straight offering. She said, yo, how about you clap these cheeks? And Leon just turned her down. Leon said, nah. This nigga Leon too cool, bro. How a girl offer you the coochie, spare coochie. The girl offered the coochie and he said, nah. Nah.
Nah,
He
no
said, nah.
coochie.
Yo, she offered the coochie. She said,
Look at me
"Bro,
drinking a
yo, I'm not
Minute
gonna lie,
Maid."
I really, really, really like this game. This was
Oh! Right there. I show love. I really like this game.
She said, bro, yo, I'm not gonna lie. I really, really, really like this game. This was such a fun freaking game. I'm so happy I got to play this game.
I love that game.
I never played this. This is, like I said, obviously, it's all over the place. This is a blind playthrough. But I'm
Nah.
so happy I played this shit. I remember.
W, bro. W. I remember. I like that game. Straight from the carton is crazy. I know, bro. Drinking straight from the carton. I don't know how the hell Rios got this shit. 6 years ago. I'm gonna keep it unlisted. That's just gonna be in the shadows. I'm gonna leave it in the shadows. What was that video again? There will never be enough remakes. Boom.
Original should have been all along. I don't like my enjoyment of something being written off as, you were just 12, especially when I was an adult playing some of these games for the first time. I also need to put into perspective that, yes, I do feel nostalgia for the past, but I need to make clear where that nostalgia comes from. It doesn't inherently come from the games themselves. It comes from the memories associated with those games.
Yes.
I'm not nostalgic for Tak 2 itself. I'm nostalgic for the time I had a sleepover at my house and my friends got to play that game with me.
Yes.
I'm not nostalgic for quirky game mechanics. I didn't even fully understand how they worked my first time playing. Those are things I had to gain appreciation for over time. I don't look back at games simply to seek out things that I already liked about them. I look back at them and find new things all the time. Some are things that I'll like, some I won't like as much. To anyone still insistent that this is all still just nostalgia blindness, let me pose a question for you. What's more nostalgia blind, accepting a game with its flaws and appreciating its quirks, or desperately wanting to revise it into the romanticized version in your head? Why do you think people still want Pokemon Black and White remakes, even after the questionable quality—
Bro, and what's crazy is me playing Black and White, the Nuzlocke. That was the first time I ever played Black and White, and I genuinely enjoyed that game. And mind you, I remember when I played Black and White the first time on the DS, I didn't like it. I quit playing the game after I got like the first badge because I just wasn't fucking with it. But then when I did the Nuzlocke, I had to play this game all the way through, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Hell, if you ask me, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are where Pokemon remakes started to go downhill. Why do you think Pokemon remakes became a tradition? Why are people more excited for remakes than wholly new IPs? Do these games truly need remakes?
No game needs a remake. Some games do. Some games do.
Video games can certainly
That's
benefit
SMT5.
from being remade. I would even argue that some games could benefit more than others, but there is never an inherent need to redo a whole-ass game. That is something we ascribe to it ourselves. No game needs to be remade. Rather, it's you who feels the need for it. Whether it be due to FOMO or clinging on to nostalgic memories, it's not something the game itself needs. It's really about your needs. No, I'm not against remakes being made in general. I'm not saying devs should stop making remakes forever. I'm just merely suggesting that maybe we don't need them as badly as people think. If we're gonna push the idea that games are a form of art, then maybe we should start treating them like it. When a person does a redraw of a character or famous artwork, most people are able to recognize the redraw as its own work and not a replacement, even if they might prefer the redraw. Why are we able to recognize the value of the original here, but less so with games? Let remakes stand as their own works instead of viewing them as a substitute. It's okay to make improvements over the original, but they should be in service of the original game's design, not at
You said
odds.
Golden Sun remake?
A point that's been brought up to me recently is that video game remakes could be a lot worse. When you compare video game remakes to the film industry's remakes, those are usually more universally agreed upon to range from bad to nothing burger. I would agree with this. The video game remakes I've seen clearly have a lot of hard work put into them. But I don't think that doesn't mean we're in a position to still be critical with the state of video game remakes now. The problem with film remakes and the problem with video game remakes are very different. With film, it's a problem of quality. In the case of video games, it's less a problem of quality, and more a tug of war between artistic vision and consumer expectation. I'll admit the need to remake or redo something can sometimes be artistically driven. I've remade a couple videos on this channel because they didn't fit my current standard of quality, and I don't regret redoing them. At this point, those redone videos have been out longer than I kept the original ones public. Even now, a couple years later, I can look back at those remade videos and say they might be better than most of my current content. But in the case of video games, it's usually the opposite. The need is driven primarily by money, that's the most important one, but also expectations. We've become so used to getting remakes, and thus, the gaming industry must deliver on those expectations in order to make said money. Look, it's okay to want something. It's okay to like the idea of something. The point of this video—
What is this, a movie? Look at the cute-ass Torchic biting Mudkip's tail. It's a Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire trailer. Oh, the trailer looks great.
Isn't to tell everyone that they're wrong for wanting a remake of their favorite game. What I'm trying to convey here is that the signs are pointing to video games being on the path to stagnation, but you don't have to stagnate with them. I'm not saying you have to keep up with all the niche and quirky indie games that are secretly these hidden masterpieces. I'm not gonna be one of those guys and be like, I just want game devs to make something new for a change. What I will encourage you to do is to try something different. Play one game that's outside your comfort zone, and really try to get on its level. Everyone's got at least one game in their backlog that's different from what they're used to.
True.
It could be an old game that you were too intimidated to approach because you heard horror stories about clunky controls. It could be a more modern game that just plays differently from what you're used to. Don't set out to find your new favorite game or anything. Just try to find some enjoyment in learning how to adjust to a game in its intended form. It's like picking up a new hobby or learning a new skill. Most of the fun comes from developing your appreciation for those things over time. That feeling is what makes video games fun in their own unique way. It's what makes them fun to begin with.
Good video. Yo, don't get me wrong, bro. You see how like they show those screenshots of like everybody taking a picture? Bro, I hate when motherfuckers on Twitter be posting spoiler images. Like when they announced the Persona 4 remake, motherfuckers was all over Twitter posting like the final image that gets taken in Persona 4. You know the one where Kanji looks a specific type of way. I was like, why the fuck are y'all posting this picture like crazy now? Straight up spoiling Persona 4? Like they announced the cause remember when the Persona 4 remake got announced, I was saying on Twitter things like, they better not take this away, they better not do this, but this is stuff that's happening within the game. Still, like probably in the beginning or in the middle of the game. People were posting straight the ending of the game. And I'm just like, bro, why are you posting the ending photo of the game? Yeah, I can't wait for people to see this. Oh my gosh, man. Those be the type of people that... Yo, Ryuk, where you at? Okay. Thank you guys for coming out to the stream, man. I appreciate you. He says they don't know Persona fans don't play their own games. Yeah, they don't, bro. They watch freaking Jacksepticeye play it. My name is Jacksepticeye.